Hello, beautiful peaches. Welcome to the Macros, Metabolism, and Motivation Beautiful Peach podcast. I'm your host, Caitlin, here to help you find your most unwavering love, beauty, and kindness for yourself inside and out. I will be teaching you nutrition and macro tracking secrets, reverse diet and metabolism health tips and tricks, and motivating the heck out of you so you want to leap up and start conquering your goals right away. I am here to help bring you the light at the end of the tunnel so you can discover that self-love and truly become the most confident, beautiful peach possible. So grab a pen and a piece of paper, or if you're in the car at the gym, go ahead and bump up your volume just a little so we can drown out those gym grunters next to you, and we can go ahead and dive right in. Don't forget to snag your completely free high-protein macro cookbook by simply doing a 5-star rate and review on this podcast. All you need to do is submit a 5-star rate and review, then send us your name and email through the link in the show notes so we know exactly where to send your cookbook. By submitting your 5-star rate review, this will also automatically enter you into the weekly podcast macro calculator giveaway. Every week, I give away a copy of my C. U. Schmidt macro calculator to one lovely winner who leaves an awesome 5-star rate and review. This winner is announced every week on my Instagram story as well as my newsletter email list. So leave that 5-star rate and review, and I'll see you in the episode. What is up, my beautiful, beautiful peach? Today, we are going to be talking through my biggest tips for busy women to lose fat sustainably. I am quite the busy bee. I am always on the go, always traveling. I obviously work full time, have all these clients. And for me, it is really important to make sure that I am also taking care of myself. And I think a lot of women in the world today, and I completely understand it because I have been in your shoes in the past, but we feel like we don't have the time to take care of ourselves. We feel like we won't have the time if we want to start tracking our macros or reverse dieting to heal our metabolism. We feel like we won't have that time to add on, or I just don't know how to actually make the time. Maybe we want to do it. We're just like, I don't know how to make the time to do so. So it being someone who is such a busy bee, also working with clients who are incredibly busy themselves, I have a very, very good background with supporting women who want that sustainable fat loss and also want to continue living their life and taking care of the people around them, their kids, their significant other, their friends, their family. And so I think it's really important for us to start giving you a little bit of some action steps on how you can start taking action without giving up that busy life, because I've got working moms, I've got full-time mothers who are also working on the side, who are also taking care of this and that. And there's so many different things going on. So I think it's really important to just make sure you have that game plan. So without further ado, let's go ahead and dive on in. Here is podcast episode, I believe we are on 102, Sustainable Fat Loss for Busy Women. Let's dive on in. Okay, my beautiful peach, this episode is for busy women who want to lose fat, heal their relationship with food, heal their metabolism, and also they don't have time, they feel they don't have time, they don't know how to make the time to do those things. You may be a busy mom balancing working, taking care of your kiddos. You may be somebody who travels often, maybe travels every week for your job. You've got a busy social life. You are always doing 10 things at once. And you say, how on earth, Caitlin, do you expect me to be a busy person, continue doing all these things, and actually easily lose weight? And first things first, I want to actually talk about the term easy. Nothing worth having is actually going to come easy. I think this term can be perceived as you don't have to do any work at all. And the industry today really teaches us just pay that $9.95 and the results will happen overnight. And I'm going to be completely transparent. I disagree with that so incredibly much. And also, we do not want something to be that easy. If everything was easy, everybody would be living in this perfect world with a perfect life. There would be no such thing as inner growth, growing and learning from our mistakes. There would just be no way that we are able to step into new chapters of our life and to continuously grow and learn. And also, it does not have to be so hard that it is actually impossible to achieve those goals. We do have to be intentional about what we are doing. We do need a game plan that is going to be realistic for your life. And also, we get to make the small changes that do not take over all of our time, but they can add up over time. The results can add up over time. So, today I actually want to talk through 4 specific tips that if you are a busy woman who is doing it all and you're just overwhelmed, you're like, I want to see these changes happen, but I'm overwhelmed. I don't know where to start. This is where I want you to start to make sure that you're able to start stepping into that place of sustainable fat loss, of food freedom, of healing your metabolism. So, number 1, and this one's going to seem so incredibly simple, but it is a lot more in-depth and actionable than it sounds, okay? It's going to be like a duh, Caitlin, obviously. The number 1, we need it to fit into your life. And I want you to think about the last 3 to 5 diets that you have done and ask yourself, even if you need to pause this episode and take a pause and be like, okay, let me actually think about this. Ask yourself why they did not last. So 3 to 5 past diets that you've done or restrictions or challenges, whatever it may be, the 3 to 5 last things that you did to try and lose weight, and ask yourself why they did not last. So pause here if you need to take a minute to actually go and think this through. But it is likely because you are trying to change your life in a short period of time and or either way, catering to a diet world, a diet box that was making you change your life entirely in order to try and make a change really fast and fit into a diet box. So naturally, if something isn't fitting naturally into your life, it will not last. But here's the big kicker that I was in this place where I was trained to think that I just did not have the time, that it just simply wasn't going to work for me, and that I had to put my own health and happiness on hold until it was the right moment. And the problem with this is when we're thinking we're going to have to wait until the time is right, when it's the right moment, when I finally have time to take care of myself, it may never come. And this means that you will be staying stagnant for the rest of your life. And not to be totally gruesome, but you don't want to be on your deathbed looking back and thinking, oh my gosh, I've literally done nothing but diet my entire life. You want to look back and remember the memories that you have made with your friends and your family. Life is meant to be lived. It also is capable to live your life and also see changes to your body, to your mentality, to your relationship with food. So I think what's really important is when we're trying to totally change our life in a short period of time, we're training ourselves to think that it must happen in a short period of time. So we will consistently and endlessly look for diets that are trying to say, hey, you will see results fast. You'll see results without even trying. And you are starting to go towards programs and diets and challenges and all of those different things that aren't actually going to be sustainable and are not going to actually give you the long-term change. So it's really, really important to, instead of trying to find those quick fixes, you want to find something that's going to fit naturally into your life. So if you travel for work, you need to be able to eat food on the go and to still be right on track. You don't need to be trying to go through all these loops and hoops and all of these different things to try and completely change your life. I had somebody reach out who quite truly was ready to change her job. She had just gotten a promotion. She travels for work. She's traveling 3 or 4 days out of the week, somewhere around there. She came to me and she said she was at the point where she was absolutely unable to lose the weight. She's been trying for years upon years upon years. I think she said that her first memory of dieting was in her 20s, somewhere in college. And literally, she's been dieting for years. But she was ready. She had just gotten a promotion. She was living her dream job. And she was like, I can't lose the weight. I'm so unhappy. I'm just going to change my job. And whoa, let's back up here. No. You do not need to be changing your entire life. Absolutely not changing your job solely to fit into a diet box. That is a hard no. If you are a busy mom, you do not have time to sit there and to plan and cook for hours on end. No, it's not going to work. I personally take about 30 minutes, maybe max an hour a week to get my food ready. And I'll talk about that later because I have some really, really, really good tips there. I'm so busy in my life. I don't have time to do that on an average day. There are days where, yes, I'm able to sit down and cook a meal and take my time, but that's really, truly just not the norm. And so I think a lot of people think, well, I have to have hours every single day to put forth. And it's like, you do need to have a little bit of time. And also, anybody can make time. If you are sitting here listening to this, if you are finding yourself scrolling Instagram and doing these things that aren't really productive to your life, we can find time, even if it's just 5 minutes, waking up 5 minutes earlier. Like, there's ways to go about this. Okay. And I actually have here in my notes too, I work with a lot of women who are just balancing it all, taking care of family, social life, your job, all of the things, and you don't have time to go to, the gym for hours upon hours upon hours, and you don't need to. I work with clients who prefer to do yoga, and that's one thing too. I think a lot of people assume that you have to strength train in order to see results. And I disagree with that so much. I've got such a variety of women who are marathon runners, ladies who like just yoga or Pilates. One of my girls loves rock climbing. She's like an avid rock climber, which is so cool. That is the coolest thing ever. Like, what? And there's just so many different things, and you don't have to cater to somebody else's wants and needs. I personally love strength training. I love it. Makes me happy. It makes me feel good. I absolutely love it. I personally right now am working out, strength training, I should say, 3 times a week. And then I just go for walks every day, and I make sure I live an active lifestyle. So I'll park farther away in parking lots. I'll take the stairs, etc. And I think what's really important is you just need small tweaks to your lifestyle that don't feel overwhelming, because this is what's going to create that long-term change. And also, yes, they will need to be intentional. This is just another reminder that we don't want to go into something if it's just, hey, it's just easy as 1, 2, 3, because that can actually set you up for failure, because that's pushing you into programs and diets that are not realistic to your life. But they also don't need to take up all of your time or make you feel like you have to give a part of you away, a part of your life away in order to actually take care of yourself. You get to take care of your kids, your significant other, to have that social life, to get that raise in your job, to, do all of these real world things. You get to have it all. You just have to be intentional with it. You have to have a solid game plan to go with it. And when you feel good, when you're fitting these things naturally into your life, you show up differently. You show up differently about who you are and your family and your energy, because when you're not sitting there stressing about your weight, food, and seeing results, you are a happier person, and you deserve that, okay? And this actually leads me to my second tip here, so 1, we want it to fit into your life. And 2, the direction you do go should fit. Okay, so yes, it should actually fit into, and this is a 4-piece tip here, into my signature framework. So this is the framework that all of my coaching, all my courses, everything that I educate around is based around. And it's a 4-piece tip here. We want to make sure that it is sustainable, maintainable, educational, and enjoyable. Number 1, sustainable. It has to be realistic for you, okay? If you are told that you have to eat 50 carbs a day, this is simply not realistic. If you are told that you have to eat 300 grams of protein a day, this is not realistic. You will want to throw in the towel so incredibly fast, and you will give up. There's a happy place for how much protein to eat. And I had somebody actually reach out to me, and she said she has her carbs and her fat figured out for her macros, but not her protein. I'm like, well, that doesn't make sense. I was like, you should have all 3 correlate with each other. I was like, that's an odd thing to say. And so I kind of started chatting with her. And I think something too is I always take an approach of like, hey, tell me more. Like, how did you figure that out? Why is it just your protein that you need to know? And it's so important not to take a judgmental approach, because there's such a lack of education and information on the internet, and which is why I love what I do. And I think a lot of people are quick to be like, I don't know, just harsh. And I'm like, no, like, tell me about it. Like, why is it that you just need your protein? So we chatted about it, and she found a resource. She basically pulled, I think, 3 different resources for her carbs and her fat, calculated those from different resources, and then was like, wait, I don't have my protein. And I'm like, no, let's back up here. I believe she ended up grabbing my macro calculator so she could have all 3 in one and the education behind it. But I think there's a happy medium of making sure you have the right resources and also making sure you're being intentional about that education piece. And she was so sweet. She was so excited about the, learning the what, the why, and how behind macros. And it made me really happy. So Anyway, just a little tidbit there for you on the side. But coming back to our little sustainable here, you want to make sure that it's realistic for you. So if you're being told to eat 50 carbs a day, no, that's not realistic. 300 grams of protein, no, that's not realistic. 900 calories a day, nah, my gal, not realistic. I've been there. I've done that. It was not realistic. And it slowed my metabolism, which is why I'm here though. Everything happens for a reason. If you have to, this is a good one. If you have to spend hours a day cooking, and I actually talked about this earlier, really for most people, for the general population, that's not realistic. And it does mean you might need to put in I talked about this earlier, but you might need to put in a little bit of extra time, an intentional 5 minutes or 30 minutes, like 5 minutes a day, 30-minute time slot once a week, and it will become habitual, become a habit. And that's when it becomes easy in the sense of you've been intentional with creating that habit. You've been intentional about making those small, tiny changes that compound over time. And now it just becomes part of your life. I want to interrupt this so lovely podcast episode of mine to let you know that the Food Freedom and Macro Guide is available to you completely free. This guide holds the answers you need to end the macro mystery and learn why nothing else has ever worked long-term. With macros and your human factor, you can have your cake and eat it too. Live your life instead of wasting every day hyper-focused on all of the stress on what you can and cannot eat. This Food Freedom and Macro Guide will give you clarity on what macros are and the role that they play in your metabolism. You'll learn why macros are so important to keep your body functioning properly and how we actually use these and your human factor to see the changes that you want. You'll be able to discover the anti-diet world and how we use macros to eat the food that we love every day. If you're ready for endless food freedom and want to take a deep dive into macros, this guide is for you. Go ahead down to the show notes and grab your guide today. So I've got a couple examples here that these are coming straight from my Beautiful Peach Mastermind. We were talking about this with my busy women. So number one, a quick tip for meal prep. I personally am not the kind of person who can eat the same thing every day. I absolutely will not write meal plans for my clients solely because if I give you a meal plan, you feel like you have to stick to that meal plan. It's boring. You eat the same thing every day, which for some people it works, but for the general population, it does not. And what happens is this leads you to falling off track because you are not able to, it makes you feel stuck to that. And you're not able to go out to eat. You're not able to change that meal plan. And also, I would be doing you a disservice by doing this because it is not teaching you how to navigate those waters. I like to work with clients who are go-getters, who are the kind of person who likes to problem solve, the kind of person who wants to show up for themselves and doesn't just want something handed to them. Because if I'm just going to hand you something, you're not going to be able to see results long term. So for me, I like to teach you how to meal prep your own food in a way that feels good to you. So if you are somebody who does like to meal prep and likes to eat the same thing every single day, great, awesome, we'll make that work. However, I will also make sure you know if you decide to get a random Starbucks drink or decide to go out to eat, you know how to comfortably swap out what you're eating and still be right on track. And also, if you're somebody who doesn't have time to prep like that, you just want 30 minutes once a week, 1 hour once a week to get all of your food ready so you can kind of do a grab and go. That's how my husband and I are. Then I will also support you through that. And so let me actually give you the idea. So I honestly like a max an hour, and I'm just saying an hour solely because it really is not even that long. I want to say max 30 minutes, but I don't want to say max 30 minutes and then somebody be a little bit slower and be like, wait, you said 30 minutes and it's been 45. So just note, this is quick once a week that my husband and I do. And I like to think of it as kind of like a Chipotle style, like grab and go. It also hurts my stomach. I'm one of those people who don't love, I don't love it. My husband's obsessed. He could eat it every single day if he could. But no, anyway, I'm not the biggest Chipotle person. Anywho, I like to do a Chipotle style kind of grab and go setup for my prep each week. So how I go about this is I will chop a bunch of vegetables. I use a veggie chopper. I am quite literally obsessed with it. I will try and put it in the show notes, the link that I have for the one that I use, because I love it, love it, love it. If I can't put it in the show notes, I remember I sent it to somebody and the link is extremely long and kind of obnoxious. So if you want it, just DM me veggie chopper, I guess. Just send me the message like veggie chopper, like just tell me I talked about it in my podcast and I'll know what you're talking about and I will send you the link. But I am so obsessed with it because I think a lot of times when it comes to vegetables, I absolutely I do not like cutting vegetables. I do not like it. I will do anything to get out of it. And I got this veggie chopper, and I mean, it takes me 5 minutes to chop enough vegetables to sink a battleship. Like, it's so many vegetables. And that just reminded my mom, because she always says that. That was cute. And so it's really easy. You get all your veggies ready, you put them in your little Tupperware. Instead of trying to cook your protein every single day right before your meal, just get all of your protein ready at once. So we will just throw a bunch of stuff in a crock pot. I will throw things in the oven. We've got an air fryer. We'll just like throw it all in, all your different kinds of proteins that you want. So we did this past week, we did pork tenderloin, ground turkey. Colton did a breaded chicken. I would say that took him maybe 3 extra minutes. Like, oh, breaded chicken, that took forever. No. It normally would take him 5 minutes. It took him 3 extra minutes to pop it in. Throw that in the air fryer. We made lean ground beef, and I added a bunch of different seasonings in them. It's like this applewood smoked seasoning. Made the patties, plopped them on, we're good to go. And I mean, truly, it's so incredibly fast. And then you can get your carbs ready. So I'm not a big rice person. I don't love rice. Back when I was in my restrictive space, I was eating like broccoli, rice, and chicken every day. And so it just would not work for me. I can't. And I was eating tilapia for breakfast when I was in prep for a bikini competition. So gross. So gross. I still have a hard time eating tilapia, if we're being totally honest. It ruined it for me. But get your carbs ready. We have a rice cooker. We just throw the rice in there, throw it in a pot if you don't have a rice cooker. I mean, quite truly, we have whole wheat tortillas. I love bread. So we'll have bread on deck. And I think it's just all of this max takes 30 minutes. 30 minutes. We just throw it all in, and it's all just sitting there cooking. So the cooking part might take longer than 30 minutes, but the actual time that you are spending getting all of that ready takes not a long time at all. And I think what's nice is once you have it already in an extra, 5-10 minutes to put it in Tupperware and put it in your fridge. And so when it comes to actually having your meal, so like right now, when I know I'm going to go grab my lunch, I'm going to have a tortilla. So I'm going to make kind of like a burrito vibe. I'm going to throw in some of the diced veggies. I've got my protein of choice. And the beautiful part of this is I have options. So I can have whatever the protein that I want in there, slice it up, drop it on in, add the toppings. You can add salsa, is a huge favorite of mine. You can add, actually, oddly enough, like adding balsamic to it. Very, very good. Add cheese, salsa, Himalayan salt if you want to, add sour cream, add quite literally whatever toppings you want. And bam, there you go. So incredibly easy. And I know that when it comes to me making my lunches or making our dinners and things like that, it's just fast. It's fast and easy. In my MBPM, we have a Slack channel called, I think it's like Meals and Recipes or Recipe Meals, something like that. And because I work with so many women who are busy bees, we love recipes that are quick and easy and still will taste good. So one of my clients is a huge burrito fan. And so she always shares her breakfast burrito recipes that she's doing. She'll do it once a week, and then she freezes them, which is absolutely brilliant. That way she wakes up in the morning, she pops it in the microwave, and she's ready to go. I'm also a huge overnight oat fan, and I'm also wanting to make, I keep saying I'm going to do this and then I don't do it, but when Colton and I were on our honeymoon, we went to Spain and Portugal, and we had, oh my gosh, I'm completely blanking. I think it's just chia seed pudding, but the flavor was so good. And I want to make chia seed pudding a lot more. I make it every now and then, and it's so good. It's so easy. It takes like maybe 3 minutes the night before. You just pop it in the fridge, and it's there for you the next day. So I think, this is a lot of information going into this, but I think my main point, or I know my main point here is it doesn't have to be so incredibly overwhelming. And it may sound overwhelming, me just like spewing this information at you, which is why I'm always like, okay, well, let's just take a step back. Let's look at your timeline. Let's see if we can get 15 minutes into your day at one point during the week, whatever day that may be. And then you can go ahead and throw your proteins. Even if you don't want to cook any carbs, you can though. Like I've done risotto. There's different kind of things that you can cook pretty quickly. Lentils, throw it in a crock pot with your chicken or whatever protein you want to do. It's really, really easy. So I think what's important in this piece is finding where you have 15 to 30 minutes once a week and prepping those foods to where it's literally ready for the rest of the week. And you can just throw it into your burrito. You can throw it into your quesadilla. You can, spice it up here and there. And you just make these quick and easy meals. I had a client actually in BPM one time who she's like, I really want to make sure that this is quality time with my kids. And so she actually started having her kids help her out. And it became a bonding time for her family. And what was really also pretty cool about this is she's also helping teach her kids about fueling their body without even realizing it. And I think it's really neat because it turned into something special for her family. And she's helping her children grow up with this ability to prepare food for themselves and to have this go-getter mentality on their own. It's really, really neat. So the long story is it shouldn't take long. I realize that was very long, me explaining all that, but we really just don't want something that's going to lead us into the all or nothing mentality of, I don't have time for this. So we go into the completely opposite direction of just eating out all the time, eating frozen pizzas all the time, just not even paying attention to what we're eating. And there's always that beautiful happy medium. We at all times have a frozen pizza in our freezer at all times because there are days where it's like, yes, I absolutely want that frozen pizza. We've got chicken nuggets in there. We've got fries in there, right? We have the yummy food because I feel free around those foods. And also I'm spending 80% of my time eating the nutrient dense foods with 20% of each day eating the fun foods. And if you are someone who does struggle with the all or nothing mentality, go check out episode 83. I have this in my notes too, as a little side. It's overcoming the all or nothing diet mentality. It's a really, really good one. I had somebody reach out yesterday saying that she loved that episode. Our other tip here, so we've got sustainable, maintainable, educational, and enjoyable. Maintainable, you want to make sure that you are able to still eat out, to travel, to do all of the real world things. We want to make sure it's fitting naturally into your life. If it's not going to fit naturally into your life, it will not last. And then educational, here's the thing. If you don't know why you're doing something and somebody says, because I said so, you're not going to get it. If I just told you, you need to heal your metabolism and you're like, why? Well, because I said so. It's like, no, you don't understand why you're doing what you're doing. And you should understand what's going on with your body and your metabolism. And you get to understand that because that's what helps you create that long-term change. And it also makes it fun. It makes it enjoyable of saying, hey, I recognize what I'm doing is helping me create this long-term change because I'm healing my metabolism because X, Y, and Z. And last but not least, enjoyable. If it's not enjoyable, it's not going to last. So that was a very, very long, I got really, really into my meal prep chat. I am sorry if that took a long time. It is so easy. You just need to make sure it's a game plan that fits for you. So to do a quick repeat, because I'm not done yet, I have 2 more tips. So number 1, it needs to fit into your life. Number 2, the second tip is it actually has to be something that fits a signature framework. So sustainable, maintainable, educational, and enjoyable. And 3, I actually encourage you, I wish I started with this one. This is actually my favorite out of all these. I actually encourage you to start when you are the busiest. Start when you are the busiest because there might be times that you are less busy in the future. And I say might just because we are almost always busy, but you never know. There might be time in the future when you are less busy. And the beautiful piece about this is if you are learning how to take these action steps when you are busy, it means that it's easy sailing in front of you when you're not as busy. And I said bonus points if you get support during that time, which it is true though. I have found time and time again from my own personal experience as well as experience supporting my clients. When we ask for help, it will expedite our process because you have somebody who has gone through it already and they can help you help guide you in the right direction. And you get that personalized, individualized support to get you going in the right direction. You know, when you have somebody who's already navigated those situations and can look at you and say, hey, tell me about this weekend trip that you have planned. Tell me about this social scenario that you have planned. Let's talk about it, which is why I personally think that there are too many programs out there who just look at people as numbers. And you are not a number to me. You are a human with a life that is very different than anybody else and any other client that I have. You are a client with a metabolism, with a body, with a lifestyle, with a past diet history that is different from anybody else. It is so important to cater to you as an individual and to see you as the individual so I can help you learn to navigate those scenarios. So I say bonus points if you get support during that time, whether that's me or that's anyone else. Hint, hint, wink, wink. I've been there before and I do have a beautiful peach mastermind spot open, which is so fun. But I think what's really important is to really, really, really start when you are the busiest because you will always think that I'm going to start when I have time. I'm going to start when I'm not busy. And that time might not ever come. Okay. And that comes into 4. If you wait for the time when you are not busy, you really will end up waiting forever because I'm just so honestly, it's not going to happen. I think we always say that and it's just not going to happen. There will always be social activities to go to. There will always be some sort of holiday. When I was writing the notes for these, this episode, I was sitting there eating a chocolate croissant. And I'm like, I love this life. I love this life that I can just order a chocolate croissant, not even think twice about it, not have a lick of guilt, and move on. There will just always be something going on. So if you want to eat that chocolate croissant without any stress, do it. There will always be a house that needs to be cleaned, children to be fed, dogs to be walked, right? So I think it's just like when we're waiting for the calendar to be empty. So here's the thing too, actually, I this is kind of like an honesty moment. I think for many, many people, we use time as an excuse, not for everybody, but I think for many people, we use time as an excuse. And it's because we are fearful that we will not be able to follow through, which you will if you have a game plan that fits you. We are fearful that we cannot trust ourselves, which again, if you have something that is teaching you how to navigate the real world situations, you will be able to gain that trust back. And also, a lot of times we are fearful of success. We are fearful of success. We see something that we want and we're like, oh, I want to do this, but I don't have time. And we go into this self-sabotage mode when in reality, if we just dove in and we took the action now, and let's just do an example. So I had somebody who just joined BPM, what is today, Tuesday? She joined on Friday. So however many days ago that was. And her big thing was she was the kind of person who I adore. She is the kind of person I adore her. She's so excited, but she really, really struggled with doing the things that she wanted to do and doing the things that she knew in her gut were right for her. So she actually thought about joining BPM a year and a half ago. She thought about joining BPM. She did not. And in that time span, she had even more weight regain. She is really, really, really struggling with her relationship with food. And she's like, I have put myself into a quality of life where I'm unhappy every single day. I don't want to be in this life. Something needs to change. And she reached out and she was like, I can't believe I did not take action a year and a half ago. I keep kicking myself because I'm imagining what it would have looked like if I had taken action a year and a half ago. And she just enrolled Friday and she sent me a message yesterday. She's like, she's literally gone through the Mastermind Welcome Package. And she messaged me that she was just like bawling tears of joy because the amount of ease, excitement, and freedom she is already feeling. And that's what it's all about, okay? It took her a year and a half to actually commit. It took her 3 days to start feeling free, to feel free. And it's so important to just remind yourself, you want to start when you're busy. There will never be a right time. You just need to make sure that it's sustainable. You need to make sure it's maintainable. Make sure it's educational and enjoyable, okay? Be proactive with your health now, and you can potentially avoid hurt in the future because your happiest self is worthy of showing up. Your happiest self is needed. You are needed by those who are around you. And if you can't show up as your best self, we're taken away from those around us. And we don't deserve that. Those around us don't deserve that. I personally learned that the hard way. And I hope with anything and everything that you can also get to a place where you are learning, to show up for yourself. And that when we feel our absolute best, we are actually doing a service to those around us because we're able to show up better for them. So I appreciate you guys so very much. If you have any questions for me at all, please let me know. Feel free to send me a message on Instagram, on my Instagram DM. If you don't have an Instagram, you can send me an email and just say, hey, I'm obsessed with the podcast. Here's my question. Would love to see a podcast episode on that. And I am here to support you. So with all of this, I cannot wait to see you guys in the next episode. It is a great one. I can actually tell you what it is. Maybe I won't. Maybe I'll leave it as 8 unexpected benefits of reverse dieting. These are always so unexpected. I talked about this once and people were mind blown. So get ready. It's super good. And I will see you in the next episode. Bye, my beautiful peach.